Okay, good morning, gamers. Good morning, Battlefield. Let's talk about Battlefield 6. If you haven't heard in the Battlefield 6 community, there is a bunch of controversy over the identity of Battlefield 6 and if Battlefield 6 is having a identity crisis. Let me be real. Battlefield 6 is not a traditional Battlefield game. The maps are smaller, the classes have changed. Most of every game mode is open weapon, open weapon. The campaigns, whatever, but it's really the maps. The maps being smaller. With smaller maps means that in order to be able to accommodate most of the people and their playstyles, you want to include more angles. But in practice, this is kind of terrible. You go in, you capture objective, and you get killed by a random angle. You go back in, you kill, you put a stop to that angle, and then you die to another angle. You are constantly just dying to angles and angles and angles and different angles all over the place. In a traditional Battlefield, what you would usually see is that the maps are much larger, meaning that the amount of angles you need are subtracted. You don't need that many angles anymore to accommodate for all these playstyles. The maps are so big that you can have people are camping in corners, you can have people are sniping across map. That's why most of the buildings were probably like 1 to 3 stories, one to 2 stories at best, but not so convoluted where every window is open. You will see that a lot of previous Battlefield titles, a lot of windows get closed off. In order to prevent this, walk down Main Street, have to look at 20 windows. The other problem with the maps is that you're always constantly having to cross a main street. It makes no sense to constantly have to cross a main street. I can't even go from objective A to B on breakthrough or rush without having to purposely cross a main street with practically no cover. In traditional Battlefield games, what would happen with breakthrough and rush, which are a better example of a slower front lines game mode, is that the objectives are so far apart that you can have all of this stuff in between without it really obstructing too much of the play style, too much of the gameplay. Going from objective A to objective B takes longer to do, but not like bullet hell, like you're just gonna dead man zone. Here, the A and B are so close together in the game that yes, getting from A to B can be quick, but because you are forced to kind of cross a section with no cover, you're just gonna get eaten up by tanks, you're gonna get eaten up by snipers, and you're gonna get eaten up by every other player that looks down that way or hold that angle. Just add more cover. That's all you have to do. Just add more cover into the main lanes and the main streets, and it'll be a lot better. Or I guess to add on to it, vehicle gameplay feels pretty bad in those type of maps. You just run into vehicles either being instantly destroyed or they're just like running the entire game because of them having 3 engineers. It's ridiculous. To add on to this identity crisis, people have been talking about the skins. I don't even think the skins are really that big of an issue. But Battlefield 6's gameplay is just Call of Duty. It's The reason why I play CQB Lockdown over Rush or Breakthrough is because OBJs don't work on these small maps anymore, and it's better to just play CQB Lockdown as a Call of Duty kind of playstyle. Either that or you play Large Escalation, which Large Escalation doesn't even feel like that large of a map. It feels like Conquest, small Conquest in previous titles. And Conquest now just feels like Large Escalation. A little bit small, like. So for people who are saying that we have large maps, we don't have large maps. Our maps are not large. Our maps are at best what would be small maps, or like I guess small medium maps in previous titles. If you played any other Battlefield before, Battlefield 6, going all the way down to Bad Company, even Battlefield 1948, you would know that Battlefield 6 does not fit that genre at all. It just does not fit the traditional Battlefield at all. Other thing that's feel bad is that if you're sometimes not, because of how they change these classes and what tools and equipments they get, it makes it feel like playing other roles are useless. Like, it just feels that bad. I mean, I just run support all the time with every gun. I would rather be able to self-heal myself than do anything else. Like, maybe I'll run engineer because of how often I see these vehicles, but in reality, I don't. I almost never play assault or recon. I feel like I've played recon and assault way more in previous titles, along with support and along with engineer, way more. But since they haven't really like kept that specialization to them anymore, it doesn't feel that special to play your role that much anymore. The other big thing that I think needs to be talked about is Levolution. Battlefield 6 has a good bit of Levolution to a lot of Levolution depending on the map, but not Levolution in a grand scale. Previous Battlefield titles had way large scale Levolution. I mean, it was the whole reason why God's name was Levolution because it changed the entire level. Not that the level can be changed. If that makes sense. So for example, Battlefield 4, you could take down Shanghai Tower. You can break the dam. Like, there's all of these large scale infrastructure that you can blow up, and it changes the entire landscape, the entire topography, and the entire level. Shanghai Tower comes down, the entire middle is exposed now. The dam breaks, the entire area is flooded, and so on, and so on, and so on. So for me, no. Battlefield 6 is not Battlefield. But does that make Battlefield 6 a bad game? Not at all. I think Battlefield 6 is a really good game. I wouldn't say fantastic. There's some issues I still have with it, as you would have with every game, but it is easily a 7 to an 8 out of 10 game. As for Season 1 coming up, I'm excited for, but when it comes to them saying that they're gonna give us and provide us with larger maps, I don't know if California is that good. The other thing with California's map is that I understand California is quite hilly and mountainy to an extent. I don't want it to turn out like Liberation Peak, where it feels like I'm constantly having to fight a uphill battle or a downhill battle, and it just does not feel that good. It's terrible for gameplay. uphill battles are just terrible for gameplay, especially when it's like open uphill battle than rather than covered open uphill battle. So that's about it, I guess. Alright, I'll see you on the next morning.